All right, ladies and gentlemen, fellow decoders around the world, wherever you may be, my name is Logan, your tour guide, and this is Decode Your Reality, and today we're going to be breaking down and decoding some Great Pyramid of Giza information. This will be Khufu Decoded. I want to be very clear that this is Caffrey and not Khufu, but it's just trying to highlight and for fun, etc., etc. I just want to be very crystal clear because some people may be anal about this and say that's not Khufu. Okay, that's Caffrey, but it's just still has the gold plating on it, and I've made it very significant here to show you. It's all about, the illustrations, etc., etc. So I just wanted to be very clear about that. Moving into this presentation, ladies and gentlemen, I will be presenting to you what I feel to be groundbreaking material. This is I've never seen it. This has never been shown before. The mathematics, the numbers, we're going to be decoding a lot of different layers here. The methodology that I've been using for many, many years will be presented through this presentation, but there will be groundbreaking material for the decode of Khufu. So here is the methodology that I will be using for this presentation. In no specific order, we're going to be bringing some astrology into this, the map of the stars. We're going to be bringing into some of this mathematics, specifically pi and phi. We're also going to be bringing into this presentation the Great Tarot cards, as well as its parent, the cards of illumination, typical deck of playing cards. The cards of illumination is what we've named them. We're going to be also using some elements and the periodic table and alchemy, and we will be using through this presentation some of the Vedic principles of astrology and the Nashaktras. And of course, we're going to have some mainstream in here, if you want to call it that. This is just the ley lines of the map, how significant the latitude longitude is for this Great Pyramid of Giza. Well, it has so much significance, as does your birthday, as does the hospital you were born in. Life is completely scripted. Okay, but let's move into this. Let's move into the first topic, ladies and gentlemen. I only have three, I think. The very first one, light into matter. That's exactly what I feel this latitude longitude is kind of telling, is light into matter. Obviously, we know that the latitude, north is the speed of light. 299,792, 299,000 miles or kilometers per second is the speed of light. It's there. Whether or not that's absolutely accurate, it is written into the source code and can be interpreted that way. And then this, when you know how to use the mathematics, is going to be tied to pi, the longitude east. So 29, 31, so important. 29 is the 10th prime number, 97 is the 25th prime number, 31 is the 11th prime number, 13 is the 6th prime number. I could go on and on how big these mathematical equations are through the measurements of the ley lines of the Great Pyramid of Giza. So who built what built? I mean, my final answer is giants built these. Very tall human beings, because these bricks would be very small to them. That would be my final answer, but I wasn't there. I have no clue. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, moving into this presentation of light into matter, I feel like the light coming down north to south is going to be represented by the mathematical equation of the golden ratio, which is going to be tied to the Fibonacci sequence. And we can take the golden ratio and we can include the periodic table. So, of course, remember that the latitude north of the Great Pyramid of Giza is 29 degrees. So coming down from the heavens, if you will, is 29. And when you convert that into the periodic table, one of the outlooks will be this element called silicon. Silicon, one of its isotopes is 29.97. This is the 14th element, and 14 is going to match to the words God, time, and Satan. in numerology, in Chaldean numerology. That's for a different story. But remember, silicon is silicon is tied to Silicon Valley, which is the technology capital of the world. Is there any significance with this and California? Of course there are. And then the spirit into matter, the 31 degrees east, is going to be tied to pi 3.14. 3.14. And then we bring in this element right here called phosphorus, which is tied to Lucifer, which is tied to Jesus Christ. That's right. Jesus Christ is tied to Lucifer. Lucifer is tied to Jesus Christ. Maybe not your Jesus, but it's tied to Jesus Christ. The light bringer, the light of the world. It's matter. And now you're getting at the base principles of the Great Pyramid of Giza. So there are the measurements for the latitude, longitude: 29 silicon, 31 phosphorus. We could also bring in copper and gallium, and we're going to do that right now. So the other way to look at this latitude, longitude through the periodic table is through copper and gallium. Copper being the 29th element, Giza having a latitude north of 29. Gallium having protons of 31. Giza having a longitude east of 31. It's interesting because copper, the symbol by the Royal Society of Chemistry, just so happens to have a pyramid in its mirror. Coincidence? I don't think so. And of course, what do roosters do? This being a rooster, what do roosters do? They tell you when light's here. Sunrise. Another word of sunrise is the dawn. And another word for the dawn is the morning, which ties into Lucifer, the son of the morning. But you'll have to be the determining factor on that. But that's just for fun, ladies and gentlemen. Moving into this through mathematics now, we're going to get into some really heavy hitters. And this is where this material, I feel, is groundbreaking. So we take the latitude, longitude, and we move it into alchemy. 29 is copper. This will be isotope 64. This is going on the averages. Gallium having the longitude 31. This will be isotope 70 from the averages. So then I'm going to bring those into the string of spirit into matter, the golden ratio into pi, light into matter. So here is digit 64 in the string of the golden ratio. And when we measure all these digits, we add them all up, we get 1,371. And then we're going to do the same thing with pi, which is I'm using the 3.144 pi. Not that you can measure this through the 3.141. It's all source code, but we're using the 3.144. We're going to locate that number 70, which is the isotope 70 for that 31st element, matching the longitude east of the Great Pyramid of Giza. The total amount is 962. Add up all these digits, we get 962. So now we're going to add these up. We're going to add them up, and we get the number 2,333. How big is this in mathematics? Well, it's absolutely huge because it's a prime number. 2,333 is the 345th prime number. And what is the 3 for? The 3, 4, 5 triangle in the Great Pyramid of Giza. The 3, 4, 5 triangle, as outlined by the great Robert Edward Grant. I'm a huge fan of his work. And he talks about the Pythagorean triangle, which is the 3, 4, 5 triangle. So just like that, ladies and gentlemen, we have groundbreaking material on the 3, 4, 5, tied to the 216, tied to this triangle, which is 1/8 of the pyramid. There's 8 of those. And then we bring it into alchemy and the latitude, longitude tied to alchemy, and we get 2,333. See how amazing this reality is when you start to bring in these other external layers into sacred geometry, into these landmarks, the wonders of the world here. The 3, 4, 5, the 2, 3, 3, 3. How about that? Coincidence? Abso-freaking-lutely not. So big shout out to Robert Edward Grant and his work. Go check out his work. He does a great job. I'm a huge fan of him. We'd love to get together to him and discuss this a little bit further. But ladies and gentlemen, let's get into the slope. How about the slope of the Great Pyramid of Giza? 50, now I'm just going by and I'm regurgitating this because I have not been out to the Great Pyramid of Giza and I have not been able to measure it. And again, this is Caffrey, but 51.5 degrees. I would imagine they're all that same degree. 51 degrees is the slope, the angle. Why is it 51 degrees? What significance is the number 51? Well, it's tied to the number 233 because 233 is the 51st prime number. That's a different story. But let's get into the measurements of the latitude longitude again to look to see where this 51 is tied to this slope of and the angle of the pyramid. So we're going to take the number 29 for the latitude north of the Great Pyramid of Giza. Now we're going to go 29 digits and we're going to locate what the total is, or we're going to get the number total. 151. 29 digits, it adds up and gives you 121. I'm going to do the same thing for the longitude east. I'm going to go 31 digits into the string of the 3.144 pi. I'm going to add it up. I'm going to get 115. What do you see there, ladies and gentlemen? 151 and the 115. Coincidence? 115 and the 151 and, whoops, the 51. The 51.5. The 151. The 115. These are permutations using pi and phi off of the latitude longitude. Coincidence? Absolutely not, ladies and gentlemen. So now I'm going to take these total outcomes and I'm going to add them up. We get 266. 151 plus 115, 266. Going 29 digits into latitude, 31 digits into longitude. 266. Is this a big deal? Well, frickin', when you divide it by 4.75, which is the golden ratio and pi added up, you get the number 56. Why would I want to divide that into, because you're talking about getting a total outcome from pi and phi from the latitude longitude. So now we're just going to divide it right back into the string of pi and phi. We get the number 56. And why is this a big deal? Well, because it's tied to the speed of light. Of course. So now we bring in the science of numbers and numerology. And from what I found and the research I found, Chaldean is the oldest known numerology cipher on the planet. And even if I was wrong, even if it was just 100 years old, it doesn't matter because it has massive significance in our reality. The science of numbers, Chaldean numerology, being the number 56, tied to speed of light. That's what this whole thing is all designed and operated around, light into matter. This means light into matter. So you can see the massive significance of it. So the 56 is a really, really big deal. And we go right back to alchemy again to get an extension onto the 56, and we get to this element named barium. Barium has an atomic weight of 130. The isotope is 137.327. This is going to be isotope 138. And there's the Phoenix event. If you're a fan of Jason from Archaics, the 138 is going to be tied to barium. This is isotope 138. So this right here is speed of light. Speed of light's tied to the Phoenix event, which is tied to the sun and the wiping of the board. That's for a different story. But it's also tied to the Egyptian Ka and the Ba. So is this a coincidence? So you might have been wondering, why would I divide this? Because pi and phi represent the latitude, longitude, spirit into matter, but now you have speed of light. This is the measurement of the speed of light. And Ba being tied to the number 56. Remember, from the addition of these, and then the Ba is the Ka and the Ba. I did a decode on Ka and Ba. These are all ancient Egyptian terminologies. So the textbook says. The Ka and the Ba, tied to your soul, tied to your spirit. So let's get into the Ka and the Ba, and let's get into the 56 and talk a little bit more about what that 56 means. Speed of light is tied to lights, camera, action. Of course, you need the lights, the camera, and the action to create a movie. We're living inside of a movie set. That's why I've got this portrayed like this. Should tell you you're living inside of a movie. Earth is a movie, ladies and gentlemen. You're being watched. We are entertainment. And no one gets a hall pass, and everybody's under the dictatorship of role play. But it's the Ka. The lights, camera, action is the Ba. The Ka and the Ba. Okay? And there's one third one. I'm going to get to that in just a second here. But you can see spirit into matter. Spirit, light into matter. Slow down into physical matter, and now you get the movie. You see? And that's why Earth is a movie set. This is why the Truman Show came out and told you what they needed to tell you, so you would kind of figure it out. There's so many different songs and movies that tell you how this reality works. Lights, camera, action, spirit into matter. Speed of light is 56. So now we're going to bring in the tarot. We're going to bring in another layer to get an extension. I'm a connecting person. I'm a person who wants to synchronize the hell out of this thing. I want to connect as many layers as I can to get different variables, to see pictures and what this whole thing means, interpretations. So the 56, through the tarot, through one of the ways to look at the tarot is that this card becomes card number 56. This can be card number 56 or 57. And that's for a different story, ladies and gentlemen, but that's because the Fool can be used twice. There's many different layers to the tarot. I'm going to show you why this would be card 56 in this scenario for the Great Pyramid of Giza. The Ka and the Ba. This would be the Ba. You notice that this individual right here has 5 swords, and then there are 2 remaining. So there's the 52 here subtly in the background. And that's a really big deal, that number 52, and we're going to come back to that. But this 7 of Swords is going to convert and come from the 7 of Spades. These cards came long before the tarot did, the Rider-Waite deck, that is, from the research that I found. So the 7 of Spades is the 7 of Swords, the great mystic, if you will. The great mystic, if you will. And when you say, through numerology, 7 of Spades, you're going to get the number 63, which ties to this element called copper. And remember, what is the latitude north of the Great Pyramid of Giza? 29 degrees north. Copper. There's the picture of the pyramid right there for the icon. So to recap this, copper has an average isotope of 63.546. 7 of Spades is 63. This is the 7 of Spades, and the 7 of Spades forms the 7 of Swords, which is the 57th card in the deck, which forms Barium the Ba, which is the 137/138, which is tied to the Phoenix event, which is tied to spirit into matter, which is tied into lights, camera, action, which is tied into the speed of light, which is this right here. So how valuable Chaldean numerology is, and the tarot, and the cards of illumination, and alchemy, when you bring all this stuff together, it's just so magical. And my final answer is mankind could never in a million years code this like this. It was already written before we all got here. We can decode it, and that's what we're doing. So bringing some other layers into this to give you more layers to this onion, if you will, we're going to bring in the spirit spread for the cards of illumination. Now, the spirit spread is found from this configuration called the Master Life and the Master Spirit configuration. These are the boilerplate charts for the 52 playing cards in a deck. Now, if you're somebody new here and you don't know these playing cards, just try to do your best to follow along. But these cards, there's 52 of them for a reason, because there are 52 weeks in a year. There are 4 suits, just like there are 4 seasons, and each suit has the ace through king, which is 13 cards, just like each season has 13 weeks. So these cards are very, very important in our reality, and they can give us an extension on this scripted reality. So this is the chart that I'm going to be utilizing here for this presentation. and I'm going to look to the spirit spread. The spirit spread is unmovable. It is something to compare your life spreads to, and it is something that is tied to light, the spirit inside of you. Now, I'm highlighting here the very middle pillar of this spirit spread. And why I'm doing that is because the 7 of spades sits right there at the very bottom in the Neptune-Jupiter line. So remembering that the 7 of spades, found from the 7 of swords, found from barium, found from the movie and Light into Matter. Okay, all these connecting, this is what I do to synchronize as many, and many other decoders are doing this as well, is synchronizing these. And what's so very fascinating is at the opposite end of the 7 of spades is the Queen of Spades at the very top. I want you to imagine this is a pyramid right here. This would be a pyramid, okay? That's how these things work. You just got to have the eyes to see, but this would be the pyramid there. The Queen of Spades sitting at the very apex for this chart, and she is the 51st card in the deck, which just so happens to match the 51-degree slope at the top of the pyramid. Again, this is a version of Caffrey. I'm just giving you the visuals so you can see exactly what we're talking about. So the 51st card, matching the 51-degree slope, sits in the very apex position of the spirit spread. That is an immovable spread. This does not move at all. These cards are fixed. And now you can see that row that sits right in the middle not only contains the Queen of Spades, but it also contains the 7 of Spades. And ladies and gentlemen, when you take all these layers into consideration and you look at the pinnacle, the apex of this 51st card in the deck, the Queen sitting at the very top of that lineage, matching the slope there. And then we bring alchemy into this. And again, how big the cards are when they're dealing with alchemy, when they're able to bridge and synchronize with alchemy, they're absolutely huge because, again, we get another extended layer. And the 51-degree slope not only matches to the 51st card, the Queen of Spades, which sits at the apex of this spirit spread, but it's also tied to this element called antimony. And through the Royal Society of Chemistry, antimony has this for its icon. Now, is this a coincidence that the 51st element called antimony, the Royal Society of Chemistry decided to use the all-seeing eye in Egypt, the Egyptian all-seeing eye? They used to put antimony sulfide under their eyes as mascara, the dark stuff that women put under their eyes as mascara. Is that absolutely true? Well, I wasn't there, so that's a regurgitation. I'm just giving you information that I've read. But when you start to connect the dots and you see how important all this stuff is, it becomes rather, in my opinion, undeniable. 51 degrees antimony, and this is the average isotope 121.760. So we have a very big synchronization here of antimony, which means not alone. It comes from the words antimonos, which means not alone, which means the Ka and the Ba, the spirit inside of you being not alone. And the 51st card just so happens to coincidentally sit at the very top of this card system. And it is sitting in space number 51. When we add up all the, when we number all these spaces, space 1, space 2, space 3, space 4, space 5, space 6, space 7, and we go all the way up, this would be space number 51. So the Queen of Spades sits in space number 51. She sits at the apex, and it's tied to, through alchemy, the element that means not alone. What does the not alone mean? The spirit inside of you. That's kind of what I think it means. Antimony. Antimonos meaning not alone. Now, when we take these cards, this pillar, and we add up all 7 cards perfectly in a row, the number you're going to get when you add them all up is 226. How big of a deal is this when we bring it back into alchemy? Well, it's tied into this element right here called radium, Ra. And what is Ra known as? Well, the Egyptian sun god, right? Amun-Ra. Ra is the sun god. And this is exactly where it came from, the origination of it, Egypt. So when you add up all 7 of these cards, you get 226, which just happens to be the isotope of radium. 226 has a half-life of 1,600 years, and this is a very significant number because the address of the Washington, D.C. White House is 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Is that a coincidence? Absolutely not. Because it's all tied to Ra and Lib Ra. I broke down Washington, D.C. When they broke ground in 1808, the sun was in Lib Ra. That's for a different story, folks, but we're living in a scripted reality. So now what we have is the 7 cards, and we're going to do the numerology of those to go deeper. Where and what connecting points can we find from doing the numerology of these 7 cards in this row that add up to Ra? Literally talking about the light coming down. We get the number 438. And 438 is a big deal because it's tied to this number right here, 3061. 3061 is the 438th prime number. How big is this 3, 6, and 1? Well, ladies and gentlemen, before I get into that, I want to talk about the Ra, the Ka, and the Ba. The Ra, the Ka, and the Ba. And then just like that, we have the triplicate here. We have the measurements of the Ra, the Ka, and the Ba. See, when you take these digits right here, the 88 protons of radium, the 19 protons of calcium, and the 56 protons of barium, and you add those up, you know what number you're going to get? 163. And just like that, we have a number permutation. You just drop that 0. It's there. This is how the source code works. We have the Ra, the Ka, and the Ba. We have spirit into matter. And we have that 163. And remember how big I am with the exit strategy to get out of this reality. If you've been paying attention, it's a Revelation 3 verses 16 permutation. Revelation 3 verses 16 telling you that you need to be lukewarm to get spit out of thy mouth. The Ra, the Ka, and the Ba. Okay. These are all layers of decoding. You can't just look at it from face value. You must look at it at a deeper level. So moving forward, now you can see how big these are, how big alchemy is, because you can spell a lot of these ideas out on the world stage, the mainstream layers of our reality, the Ra, the Ka, and the Ba. When you do the numerology of radium, calcium, and barium, there's that number 51, remembering that we have a 51-degree slope right here, and remembering that the 51st element on the periodic table is called antimony, which has an icon of the all-seeing eye of Horus. The Ra, the Ka, and the Ba. There you go, antimony. Antimony coming from the Greek words antimonos, which means not alone. What does that mean? Well, this says that the spirit inside of you, the voice in your head, that owns you. You can call it the Ka, the Ba, the Ra, but that stuff owns you. The voices in your head, the voice in your head, you don't own that. It owns you. That's what this research continually shows over and over and over. Now, let's get into some more mathematics. Maybe you were a little unsure of the methodology, but let's go a little bit deeper. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the number 29 to match the latitude north, and I'm going to locate the number 29 in the string of the golden ratio. We have to do 176 digits. Remember, we did 64 digits in the previous mathematical equations. Now I'm going to go 29, and then I'm going to do the same thing into the longitude. We're going to locate the number 31, and we have to go 17 digits, and the total is going to give us a number 60. So we have 821 for the total of where we find that 29. We have a total of 60 where we locate the number 31, and these 29 and 31 are the latitude, longitude, ley line positions of the Great Pyramid of Giza. Are you ready for this, ladies and gentlemen? 821 and 60, ladies and gentlemen, and they're tied right to mathematics. The 821 is a permutation of the 281, and 281 is the 60th prime number. There they are, right there. See, this is how the source code works. The source code just matches the numbers up to create the final product, which is what we call this reality. Behind the reality is letters, numbers, and symbols and mathematics and equations and formulas. But again, the final product is what most people are really focused on, which is what they see, what they feel, what they hear. That's the matrix, the life that we live out. So 281 being the 60th prime number. Now we're going to go and extend upon that even more. And what is this tied to in alchemy? Well, just so happens to be tied to the 60th element called neodymium. And that, through the Royal Society of Chemistry, again, has an icon with a pyramid on it. Is this a mere coincidence again? And is any significance to the pyramids with the 8 spheres surrounding the pyramid? There's that 144. The most abundant is isotope 142. That's going to be tied to Jupiter and the 241. But ladies and gentlemen, remember that this pi is the foundation of the pyramids, because phi is going to be coming down from the heavens, light into matter. Pi and phi. Okay? And it's all about the number 60. Now you get Neo, you get the savior in there, Keanu Charles Reeves, the Matrix, neodymium. That's where you're going to get Neo from. Okay, so we're going to measure this a little bit more. We're going to go into solar spread number 60. So another extended layer. I hope I didn't lose you by now. Ladies and gentlemen, if you've made it this far, congratulations. Not everybody will. But you got to just simplify your life, and it's all about just what can I connect to the same thing in a different system. That's all this methodology is. So I'm going to go to solar spread number 60. Now I want to digress and tell some of you that are new, this right here is master life configuration 0. This is ground 0. And again, this one does not change, but this one does. So when you have a birthday, this is 0. When you came out of your mother's womb, your birth card is going to be here. And then when this goes to master life configuration, solar spread number 1, most of these cards move positions. So what I'm showing you here is solar spread number 60. This is what it looks like. This is what the card spread looks like. And I've numbered them like a bingo chart, because that's exactly how this system works. Just like a bingo chart. All these squares are numbered. They are mirrored as well. So there are several ways to look at this. But what I'm highlighting here, ladies and gentlemen, is the latitude, longitude of the Great Pyramid of Giza for solar spread number 60. Why am I doing that? Because I found it through the mathematical equations of pi and phi with the latitude, longitude, through mathematics, and then eventually dumped out into alchemy, okay, to get the picture. And there was the pyramid right there. Coincidence? Absolutely not. So the 60 is a big deal. And I'm going to go to solar spread 60. I'm going to look at space 31 and 29, which matches the latitude, longitude of the Great Pyramid of Giza, and what cards are here to display solar spread number 60, the 2 of spades and the 7 of clubs. What do you simply see there? The 2 and the 7. And it just so happens, coincidentally, that the pyramid of Khufu, which is the Great Pyramid of Giza, Khufu is 27. And you see the big fat 27 right there. 27 is the mirror of the 72. 27 and 72 is going to give you 99. That's going to be tied to the Mandelbrot set. That's for a different story. Already decoded that stuff. But let's change into a different topic now. If you really were enamored and you've made it this far, congratulations. Thank you so very much for the support. Let's get into, I'm going to really drop a big truth bomb right now, the materials. How about the materials for the Great Pyramid of Giza? So what I found through the research here is that the Great Pyramid of Giza is made up of primarily limestone and granite. Limestone and granite. So what I'm going to do as a decoder, I'm going to go into the chemical formulas to get a bridge of limestone and granite. So limestone is calcium carbonate. Okay, it says it right there. It's most notably in chalk and limestone, calcium carbonate. And the formula for calcium carbonate is calcium, carbon, and oxygen. And this is the molar mass formula in science. And then the granite is a chemical compound called silicon dioxide, which is silicon and oxygen. silicon dioxide for the granite, calcium carbonate for the limestone. Okay? Just remember that. And these are just little extras you can pause and read yourself. But when we do the chemical formula for limestone and granite, and we use the trusty calculator over here, look at what digits we get. We get a total of 161.88. What number is 161? It's 5, folks. It's the golden ratio. So you mean to tell me that these things were built with primarily limestone and granite, and when you do the formula in science, you're going to get the freaking golden ratio, which is light, which is the light coming down and forming the physical matter. Even on the back end of the decimal there, the 161.88 is Ra. You have radium on the masculine side of the decimal. You have yttrium on the masculine side of the decimal. And you also have, for fun, the mainstream, we have Back to the Future. And 88 miles an hour was used for time travel. So now you have time travel connected to this, along with the golden ratio. These are not mere coincidences, ladies and gentlemen. Limestone and granite for a specific reason. There's the golden ratio. You can't miss it. So moving along, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to now add up the 29 and 31. This is very common mathematical equations. We're going to get the number 60. But you see, this is not balanced. 29.97 would be the most balanced if we're going to include that decimal, and then 31.13 is going to be the most balanced. That's why 29 is the 10th prime number, 97 is the 25th prime number, 31 is the 11th prime number, 13 is the 6th prime number. That is exactly why we want to look at this from a very balanced mathematical equation. So 29 and 31 are the left side of the decimal, and then when we add up the left and right side of the decimal, we get the damn golden ratio again, 61.1. That's a permutation of the golden ratio, which is found from the molar masses and chemical formulas for the limestone and granite, whatever these things are made up of. How about that? Is this a mere coincidence? Or is this something so freaking precise that it's beyond the comprehension of me? Like, to create this, ladies and gentlemen, these mathematical equations is absolutely jaw-dropping to me. Here, with that, this matches this up at the most balanced aspect of the latitude, longitude. It matches this right here, the chemical formula for limestone and granite. I mean, are you freaking kidding me? Are you seeing this? Absolutely jaw-dropping information. And then if we take the 61.1 and we add the 60 to give us the total disposition of the latitude, longitude, it adds up and it gives us the 121. 60 and 61 is going to give you 121. It's going to go right back. Just as these are bridges to get in the 51 and the 51 degrees. Remember, the Queen of Spades sits up here at the apex. Come on, folks. You see all these amazing systems, and this icon is the all-seeing eye of Horus. You starting to see this now? These are not coincidences, ladies and gentlemen. The amount of layers that we can move in here is absolutely just unfathomable. When we bring the golden ratio into all of this and we start to bring in this 121, the 121 not only found here, but remember it's tied to the Ra, the Ka, and the Ba. 121 in the string of the golden ratio occupies digit 429, 430, and 431. What is 431? It's pi. So this is the icon for the 121 in antimony. This is the icon for the 51, and 51 is the degrees of the slope of the Great Pyramid, so they say. And the total is 121, and 121 in the string of the golden ratio occupies digit 429 through 431, and 431 is pi, which is going to measure the matter, which is going to be right there. The equation for this is going to end up being pi. Folks, this is so mathematically precise, it'll make your head spin. But wait. There's more. Let's continue on here. 431, is that a prime number? Absolutely it is. It's the 83rd prime number. And 83 is tied to these two elements' numerology, promethium and neodymium. Why promethium and neodymium? Remember that the latitude, longitude, just using the left side of the decimal, 29 and 31 is going to give us 60. There are 60 protons. Neodymium, neo. And then if we add up the masculine and feminine sides of the decimal, that's how I look at these. Feminine on the left, masculine on the right. The most balanced, we get 61.1. We not only get the golden ratio, but we get the 61. And now we get the Greek titan called Prometheus, who was slated to make man and women out of clay with his brother Epimetheus. And when you do the numerology of these two elements, they give you the number 83. 83 is tied to the 431. 431 is tied to the 121. And that's why we got this right here to get the whole party started. See how amazing this is when you synchronize them all? And this is not a methodology that I've used just one time. I have over 500 videos with the same kind of methodology, showing these patterns again and again, and this methodology works, okay? So moving into a little bit of a different scope, let's measure the Great Pyramid of Giza and the height. How high is it? How high was it? Well, since it's been, dilapidated or debilitated or it's been, aged, whatever words you want to use, it's lost its size. But I feel like this is the height for the Great Pyramid of Giza because of this. 281 royal cubits is going to give you 147 meters. And 147 is the numbers of Lucifer according to Manly P. Hall. Manly P. Hall said Lucifer's numbers are 741. There's a permutation of that. So now you have a connection between Lucifer, the light bringer, the light of the world in Jesus, and the Great Pyramid of Khufu. Here is the 281 being the 60th prime number right there, tied into the Royal Egyptian cubits, how they measured these things, which is what I feel this Khufu is measured, 281 royal cubits, okay? And you can go into feet and get all those kinds of measurements, but how about the 281st day of the year to tie into this? So again, I'm postulating that the total height of the Great Pyramid of Giza was, in fact, 281 royal cubits, which is the 60th prime number, which I go back here, and there's the 60, which matches the 2931 latitude longitude. Coincidence? So again, you see how this construct works? I'm looking at to bring us as tight as I possibly can, which is why I feel like this Egyptian pyramid is 281 royal cubits high, or was. And then when you look at the 281st day of the year in the Gregorian calendar, some of you say, well, the Gregorian calendar, it's not right. Folks, it's all part of this construct. Gregorian, Julian, Coptic, Egyptian, doesn't matter. You're going to find the connections, I promise you. Why am I looking at the 281st day of the year? Because I feel that the Great Pyramid of Giza was 281 royal cubits tall. And what's the 281st day of the year? October 8th. October 8th being the 108, or it's also in the pre-Julian. This thing would be pre-Julian, and October would be the 8th month. So there you go. Just like that, we get the 88. And what's 88? Radium, which is Ra. Ra. I'll go tell you again, October is the 10th month in the Gregorian calendar, but these pyramids seemingly were built pre-Julian calendar, and Julius Caesar calendar was the calendar where they moved January and February in front of March. So if you just go pre-Julian, that means March is going to be the first month, October is going to be the 8th month. That means October 8th is going to be 88, and 88 is radium, Ra, the sun god Ra. And Ra is the 281st day of the year, which matches what I feel the height of the Great Pyramid of Giza. 281 cubits tall. And on top of that, ladies and gentlemen, the cards of illumination. What is the October 8th card? Just so happens to be the 27th card in the deck, called the Ace of Diamonds. What do you see there? Well, it sure as hell looks like a pyramid to me. It's called an octahedron, and maybe there's one of these under the ground. to form that diamond shape. But the pyramid is one half of these diamonds. Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. The letter A is a pyramid. That's a no-brainer. And it's the 27th card in the deck, and it just coincidentally so happens to match the numerology of the pyramid's name. The Great Pyramid of Giza is Khufu. Coincidence? Coincidence? How many coincidences do we need to see here before we rule out coincidence? And there's no such thing as coincidence. Khufu, 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 27, 27, 27. You see what I'm saying, folks? 281 royal cubits. Just like that. Okay. And then lastly for this topic right here, what I wanted to do is, because the cubits was the measurement for this Great Pyramid and how it was built, and so it says, I wanted to look at the latitude, longitude, and I wanted to look at it from the meter measurement, because we know that 29 degrees latitude north is going to be measured in phi, which is 1.61, and then the 31 degrees east is going to be measured in pi, and that's the 3.14. And when we convert those into royal cubits, we get 599 and 307. And when you add up 599 and 307, you get the yin yang. Again, not a coincidence. 96 represents duality. That's what these pyramids create. These pyramids have so much to do with our reality, it is ridiculous. I have a feeling if these were to get removed, our reality would change in a big way. But that'll never happen because these are all protected and these are natural wonders of the world. So the game continues on and on and on. So let's move into the next topic now, the final topic for this Khufu Decoded, the portal. The portal. Is this thing a portal? Is it harvesting energy? Is it allowing energy to incarnate? All these fun topics to theorize on. The portal. Well, take into consideration where you go back to the latitude, longitude, again, the numbers. How big these were. 29 degrees, 31 degrees, measuring them in the string of the golden ratio and the string of pi, we get a total addition of 151 and 115, going 29 and 31 digits in the string of pi and phi. How big that 115, you again, these are permutations. They share exactly the same numbers. The 1, the 5, and the 1. They're just not exactly in order. But they share the exact numbers, 29 degrees north, 31 degrees east. Through pi and phi, they share exactly the same numbers. This is not a coincidence whatsoever. Notice that at the very tail end, the last digit, the 31st digit is a 1, the 29th digit is a 3. What is pi and phi? 1.61, 3.14. They end up carrying their other number. Pi carries the phi and phi carries the pi. How about that? These are insane syncs. And the number permutations, the 151 and the 115. So is this a portal coming in here? Is this a portal for spirit? Well, I want to bring in something completely out in left field. And I want to talk about Area 51. Why Area 51? Remember, folks, that the Great Pyramid of Giza, the slope is 51 degrees. So do you think that Area 51 has anything to do with the Great Pyramid of Giza? And maybe the underground aliens. Consider that Moscovium is the element that was talked about by Bob Lazar and this documentary of what made UFO move. Moscovium. What do you see there for the protons? The 115. What do you see right there? This is going to represent matter. This would represent the underground aliens. This would represent light coming down into physical matter. These are not coincidences. So there's the 115 synchronization to the total outcome of the 31 digits. Remember the word engineer equals 31 in numerology. You now get into Prometheus. We've already covered the Prometheus aspect with the latitude, longitude. But how about this 286? Its average is 289. But why the 286? Tied to our blood types. So now we have the Great Pyramid of Giza and Area 51 tied to the underground aliens, ancient technology, and maybe, just maybe, where our origins are from, which may just be underground. Covered this so many times. 74 is tied to tungsten, which is the wolfram. Covered this in Jason from Archaics, the Decoded that. 74 is tied to the black sun. The black sun. So we have Area 51, which is off limits, which is called Groom Lake, which matches the 51-degree slope for the Great Pyramid of Giza. Well, what's up with this 51? Tied to antimony, right? Tied to the all-seeing eye of Horus, antimony, the element antimony. Jason and I covered underground aliens last year. Did a big podcast on it. Thanks everybody for supporting this. Okay, this was a very, very big reveal, I feel, and we talked and postulated about the idea of underground aliens running this reality. And they have the ancient technology. Well, maybe, just maybe, it came from the Great Pyramid of Giza. Maybe it's connected, and they're both connected. But you can clearly see that Jason came out and talked a lot about the Phoenix event and what he calls what's running this reality is AIX. You can see that it's the 115. The 115 is the longitude of the Great Pyramid of Giza when we add it up, which is right here. 31 is tied to the word engineer. These are not accidents, folks. We're getting somewhere with this. We're getting closer. We're getting closer. We're getting closer. So the AIX, Artificial Intelligence X, tied to the 115 in Moscovium, tied to our blood types. Right here, tied to our blood types. There it is. Tied to Japan. Okay. But you see, when you do the numerology of this, Moscovium is 41, just like Paradise Ranch, which is where Area 51 is. And it matches. It just so happens to match the word Elohim, which is the let us make man in our image. Let us make man in our image. So the Elohim, is it just a big fat computer under the ground? Is it the black sun? Is it really underground aliens that are running this reality with ancient technology? Well, there's a lot to say about this. There's a lot to say about this 41. Okay, there's a lot to say about this. So when we do the latitude, longitude of Area 51, some of you may have already clicked off. He's like, what the hell has Khufu got to do with Area 51? Well, obviously it has everything to do with it. With the 115. The latitude, longitude is this 115. It's Moscovium. Moscovium is tied to rubidium. Rubidium is matched to the latitude north of Area 51. We've done the 21 and 31. And when you do the numerology of rubidium and moscovium, you get the number 26 and 41, which just so happens to match exactly the Yod-Heh-Vah-Heh, which is the ancient Israelite God of the Bible, and the Elohim, which are the gods that created humans. 26 and 41 coincidentally match exactly the numerology of rubidium and moscovium, which exactly link to the latitude, longitude of Area 51, which exactly links to some of the mathematics for the Great Pyramid of Giza right here. Coincidence? No. Remember, engineer equals 31. Scorpio equals 31. Scorpio is the zodiac sign that is the entrance into this reality. You can make book on that. I stand by that. I've covered that. Scorpio is all about sex and procreation. Scorpio is the 8th zodiac sign. Okay, so here it is to summarize this. Scorpio is 31. Engineer is 31. The Great Pyramid of Giza sits at longitude 31 degrees east. Scorpio representing the 8th zodiac sign. The 8 is right there on the double helix. And in the Astro 360, which is taking a zodiac wheel, applying a 360-degree circle, and meshing them up, the marker right here, this marker, which is going to be 221, which is going to give us the world card right here in the 17th nakshatra, coming down to the marker 41, which is Elohim, which is Moscovium, which is Paradise Ranch, in the element of Taurus, in the symbol of Taurus. Remembering that Taurus equals the aspects of Venus, and Venus is all about humping and screwing and procreating and making love. Aphrodite. And it's in Rohini, and Rohini is the one that's beautiful. This is where Krishna comes from. Rohini, you have the 4 blood types there. You have the 1, 7, and 4. This is how big this Astro 360, matching these numbers up on the 360-degree wheel, 221 and 41. And then if we back it up, or I'm saying if we move it forward, we get the number 226, and we get this element called radium, which is Ra, the Ka, the Ba, and the Ra. And you'll notice that radium, it still sits inside the sign of Scorpio. Ra has the 88 on it. Scorpio is the 8th zodiac sign. And when it comes down and matches up with, on the receiving end here, the 226 is lined up with the number 46, and 46 just so happens to match the words double helix, which is right there. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, Scorpio is the 8th zodiac sign, and the number 8 is right there in the double helix. There's the 8 right there. You can't miss it. So Scorpio being 31, engineer being 31, the longitude east of the Great Pyramid of Giza is 31. You can't miss it. So the Ra, the Ka, and the Ba coming down to play the game of life. Maybe, just maybe, this Great Pyramid of Giza is the portal. When you go 46 digits into the string of the golden ratio, 46 total digits, you get 226, which is the isotope of radium. Why 46 digits? Because the double helix, which is our DNA, is 46. So these aren't mere coincidences. I did a decode on this in my DNA Decoded. The Great Pyramid of Giza, folks, is tied to the Area 51 underground aliens, perhaps just maybe our DNA cloning and how we got our origins. And we can't rule all this stuff out. This is why Scorpio is known as a very sexual sign, because Scorpio represents sex and procreation. And go out and subdue the earth and procreate. The engineers creating our DNA. Is this how we all look? And did it all start under the ground in ancient Egypt? And now it's, it's moved to different areas of our life. Well, we can't rule that out, ladies and gentlemen. So to finalize this decode of Khufu Decoded, I want to just make mention that, you see, this reality, in my opinion, needs players. And when you become a player on the board, which you're not in control of your life, by the way, that's my final answer. You have a blood type. And there are 4 blood types. You're going to be one of these, O, A, B, or AB. And the only person that can bear a child is a woman, which just coincidentally and so happens to match the number 23. Player, blood, and women all match the 23, which matches our blood type. We have 4 blood types. We have 4 blood types. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, that the Great Pyramid of Giza has 4 sides to it. And this is underground, and this is 31 degrees. Longitude east. Even if I go to the 31 on the astro map, it's still going to be in the sign of Taurus and Scorpio. It will still be there, which is actually going to move through the 316, which is kind of the way out of here, but that's for a different story. But ladies and gentlemen, the game of life needs players. Okay? It needs players. It needs characters to incarnate into. Spirit into matter. That's what's going on. And is Khufu and Khafre, are these 3 pyramids, do they have anything to do with the reincarnation process? That's the question. Well, the mathematics clearly showed you some massive significance to how this reality works. And I think it has a big say in this whole methodology of incarnation, reincarnation. So ladies and gentlemen, we'd love to hear what you saw during this presentation. Keep your comments cordial. This is all about love in here. This is information that's new, I know. So some of you may be like, I'm crazy, yada, yada, yada. But folks, do your own due diligence. I don't always have it figured out. I don't have it all figured out. I've been wrong so many times, but I'm courageous enough to put this information out there for you to look at. And I'm okay if I get it wrong. I don't care. I'm just looking to get some stuff out there. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, keep your comments coming. We'd love to hear from you. But that's all I got for today. My name is Logan for Decode Your Reality. Until next time, we will see you there.